We spend our entire lives avoiding the thought of buying a coffin, yet every year this industry still generates over $20 billion in revenue. Hard to believe, right? What most people don't realize is that behind every coffin lies a complete manufacturing chain, starting from raw material extraction, followed by material processing, precision shaping, and finally finishing the product to meet specific standards. Each stage is tightly connected, forming a continuous system that operates on a global scale. And that is only the surface of an industry that is rarely talked about. Few people realize that each year the funeral industry in the United States consumes millions of tons of materials, from wood and steel to concrete and fabric lining. This volume is enough to sustain hundreds of factories, operating continuously from raw material extraction to processing and final assembly. Behind it all is a steady flow of revenue, where the value lies not only in the materials themselves, but in how the product is priced during a highly sensitive moment. Coffins are not mass-produced on high-speed assembly lines. Instead, they are often made in batches, or through a combination of industrial and manual craftsmanship, in workshops where a single unit can take dozens of hours to complete. What stands out is that this is one of the very few products with almost no returning customers, yet demand remains consistent year after year, creating a truly unique market. The journey of a coffin begins in managed forests, where no tree is selected at random. Each one must pass strict evaluations of age, diameter, and trunk straightness.
Once the conditions are met, high-powered chainsaws come to life, their steel blades cutting through thick trunks within minutes.
And quickly transported out of the forest using specialized tractors or heavy-duty trucks. Speed at this stage is critical, because the longer the wood remains exposed, the higher the risk of cracking, warping, or moisture damage. This small portion typically demands higher quality, as the wood surface must remain stable, with minimal defects and a refined appearance. During the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, creating a noticeable shift starting from the logging stage. By the time the logs arrive at the sawmill yard, hundreds of trunks are stacked in long rows. To preserve quality, many facilities continuously spray water or submerge the wood in holding ponds to maintain natural moisture levels. Before cutting begins, each log passes through a grading system that combines human inspection with laser scanning technology to identify species, diameter, curvature, and internal defects. The highest grade logs are reserved for products requiring refined finishing, such as coffins, while the rest are distributed to other industries, ensuring that no part of the tree goes to waste. The logs are fed into a deep barking machine, a rotating system fitted with steel spikes that strips away the outer bark containing dirt, insects, and impurities.
This stage not only protects the saw blades from premature wear, but also directly determines the surface quality of the wood after cutting.
None of the removed bark goes to waste. It is collected and repurposed as biomass fuel,
or processed into engineered wood materials, ensuring that nearly 100% of the tree is utilized.
Each log is then secured and passed through a laser scanning system,
where multiple sensors capture its diameter, curvature, and hidden internal defects. Within seconds, specialized software simulates dozens of cutting patterns to determine the most efficient approach, compared to traditional methods.
As the logs enter the main sawing area, long bandsaw blades stretching several feet begin their work.
Yet the real precision lies not in cutting speed, but in how each cut is planned. From a single log, simply adjusting the angle and sequence of cuts can change the recovery value by tens of %. The large slabs that emerge are more than just raw pieces of timber. They are the result of a value optimization process, where only the most stable sections, with consistent grain and minimal defects, are selected for high-finish products, such as coffins.
The large slabs then continue along conveyor systems into the secondary sawing area,
where they are recut into boards with far more precise thickness. Smaller, sharper blades begin to restructure
the rough stock into commercial lumber, with dimensional tolerances kept extremely tight.
Immediately after, irregular edges near the bark are trimmed away using edging saws, transforming uneven pieces into straight boards that are easier to stack, store, and transport. At this stage, each board has essentially reached its final shape. Yet internally, it still holds a high level of natural moisture, sometimes accounting for nearly half of its total weight. Left untreated, the wood would quickly warp or crack during use. For that reason, the lumber is carefully stacked, with spacing between each layer, preparing it for the drying process, a critical step that determines the long-term stability of the material.
The stacked lumber is then moved into industrial drying kilns, where temperature and humidity are tightly controlled.
Over many hours, sometimes even days, hot air is continuously circulated through the gaps between each layer of wood, allowing moisture to escape gradually from the surface toward the core. What many people don't realize is that freshly cut wood can contain up to nearly 50% of its weight in water, meaning almost half of its mass will be lost during this stage.
In the initial phase, the drying rate is accelerated to remove surface moisture quickly.
As the process continues, it is carefully slowed down to prevent imbalances between the outer layers and the core.
For high-finish products, such as coffins, the moisture content is typically reduced to around 6 to 8%, significantly lower than that of standard construction lumber.
Even a small deviation at this stage can cause an entire batch to deform and lose its usable value. Once properly dried, the boards become dimensionally stable,
less prone to shrinkage, and ready for precision machining, where the form of the coffin begins to take shape. Once the lumber reaches the required level of stability, it is transported to coffin manufacturing facilities. Here, it is not cut immediately. Instead, it undergoes a panel assembly stage, forming larger boards that serve as the structural foundation for everything that follows. Individual wood strips are arranged side by side according to carefully planned grain orientation, then coated with adhesive and fed into pressing systems. High pressure, combined with tightly controlled timing, bonds the pieces into a single, unified panel. But the real precision lies not in the bonding itself, it's in how each strip is selected and positioned.
Sections with unstable grain or a tendency to warp are removed from the start.
Because once pressed into a large panel, even a minor defect becomes irreversible. In practice, a high-quality panel is often made from multiple smaller strips rather than a single solid piece. The result is a set of panels that are stable, uniform, and ready for the next stage of precision machining, where the coffin's shape begins to take clear form. The panels are fed into precision cutting systems and CNC machines, where each component is cut to predefined dimensions. Every cut is not only based on size, but also aligned with the wood grain to ensure strength. Because even a deviation of a few fractions of an inch can prevent parts from fitting together properly during assembly.
At this point, the coffin's distinctive geometry starts to emerge. The side panels are cut at precise angles,
while the lid and base are shaped separately. What often goes unnoticed is that these angles must match perfectly across all pieces, because even a minor inconsistency can cause the entire structure to warp when assembled. The result of this stage is a set of precisely shaped components,
ready for frame assemble, where a complete structure begins to come together.
Once the components are shaped, they move into the assembly stage, where every contact point directly determines the overall structural strength. The panels are aligned and joined using mortise and tenon joints, dowels, or specialized fasteners, combined with wood adhesives. What stands out is that the adhesive is not just a bonding agent. When cured under the right conditions, the joint can achieve strength equal. During assembly, edges must meet with near-perfect contact, because even the smallest gap can reduce load-bearing capacity and lead to long-term deformation.
Some manufacturers use fixed pressing jigs to hold the entire frame in a stable position, ensuring that all angles remain consistent while the adhesive cures.
The result of this stage is a unified structure where forces are evenly distributed, an essential factor in maintaining shape and long-term stability.
Once the wooden frame is structurally stable, the surface moves into the finishing stage, a phase that directly defines both the appearance
and the overall perception of the final product. The entire surface is sanded multiple times to remove imperfections and smooth out even the smallest details.
After that, a series of chemical treatments are applied,
including a sealer to close the wood pores, a stain to achieve the desired color, and a protective top coat on the outside.
Each layer requires proper drying time and inspection before moving on to the next,
because even a minor surface flaw can become highly visible in the final finish. What's particularly notable is that beyond standard models, some coffins are custom designed, based on specific requests. From paint color and patterns to decorative elements that carry personal meaning, these choices transform the product from a simple wooden structure into something far more personalized. If it were up to you, would you keep the natural look of the wood or design a coffin with your own style? Comment your choice below and see if others think the same.
Once the wooden structure has been fully finished, it moves into the interior assembly area, where cushioning layers and fabric linings are installed inside. Materials such as resilient foam, satin, or polyester are precisely cut to size,
then stretched and secured using adhesives and fastening systems. In some factories, this interior structure is built in clearly defined layers. A polyester base provides stability, followed by a cushioning layer that adds softness and helps distribute pressure, before being covered with the final fabric surface. The thickness of the padding, the tension of the fabric, and the arrangement of folds are all tightly controlled, because even a small deviation can disrupt the uniform appearance. What stands out is that this interior is not just a finishing detail. It plays a key role in shaping the visual and emotional perception of the product. A soft, balanced, and carefully arranged surface creates a sense of calm and quiet, similar to the comfort.
In many cases, customers can choose the materials and colors, turning the interior into a personalized environment
that reflects a sense of care and respect at the final stage of the journey.
Once completed, the coffin is moved into a controlled storage area, where temperature and humidity are kept stable to prevent wood shrinkage or any impact on the finish and interior. This is not just a storage space, it is a stage dedicated to preserving the product in its optimal condition.
This stain turned out beautifully. Yeah. It's ready for the pallet line.
Because even minor external force can shift the structure or leave marks on the finished surface.
Before packaging, every coffin undergoes a final inspection, checking the tightness of the frame, the flatness of the surfaces, and the consistency of the interior lining.
It is then wrapped in protective materials designed to resist dust, moisture, and impact,
before being secured inside shipping containers. At this stage, all the value accumulated throughout the production process
is effectively sealed, ensuring that the product reaches its destination in its original condition, where every detail remains intact.
From trees in the forest through multiple stages of processing, drying, machining, and finishing.
A coffin is far more than just a wooden product. It is the result of a tightly controlled manufacturing process, where every detail is calculated to ensure structural stability, refined finishing, and the overall visual perception. What sets this industry apart is not overly complex technology, but the way it maintains precision and consistency for a product
that allows almost no margin for error.